You're a senior trying to lose belly fat, and you've read so much information out there that you're not sure if it pertains to seniors. In this video, we'll cover the 4 steps you need in order to lose belly fat as it pertains to seniors. But first, let's bust one myth. It's very trendy and very common to blame fat gain on your metabolism, but your metabolism plays a very small role in fat gain. For example, in one study, it showed that there is virtually no decline in metabolism at all between ages 18 and 50. Between ages 51 and 81, metabolism slows down by only about 4% per decade. That's not very much. Now, 3/4 of that decline could be attributed to simple loss of muscle mass. Now, yes, there's the effect of aging on muscle mass, so aging makes you lose muscle mass, but there's also the effect of neglect. If you're aging and you're not strength training, you'll lose muscle mass a lot faster than if you're aging and you are strength training. And so, yes, some fat gain and some slowing down metabolism is inevitable, but it's a tiny, tiny, tiny percent if you age and you do strength training. So what are these 4 proven steps to lose belly fat as a senior? In no particular order, they are exercise, nutrition, NEAT, which I'll explain in a second, as well as sleep. Let's break them down one by one. Let's start with nutrition. Nutrition is where the lion's share of the results is going to come from. When it comes to nutrition for fat loss, there are 2 and only 2 components that matter. And those are calories and protein, and that's it. Nothing else matters. Whether you eat 2 big meals per day or 5 small meals per day, doesn't matter. Whether you eat after 6 or you don't eat after 6, doesn't matter. If you do intermittent fasting or you don't do intermittent fasting, doesn't matter. Your ratio of carbs to fats doesn't matter. The only 2 things that matter are calories and protein, and that's it. So how many calories should you be eating? The answer to that lies in how much do you weigh right now? So what you do is you take your body weight in pounds, multiply that by 11 and add an exercise. That is approximately how many calories you're currently consuming. If you want to lose body fat, subtract about 20% from that. So let's hypothetically say you've done the math and you see that you eat 2,500 calories per day. That means that you need to subtract 20% from that, and that's about 500 calories, so you're entitled to 2,000 calories per day. Next is protein. Protein is what ensures your weight loss is predominantly fat. You want to maintain as much muscle as possible, you want to maintain as much bone mass as possible, so you have to get adequate protein. What is adequate? Adequate depends on 3 factors. 1 is your body weight. It's natural that heavier people, larger people need more protein than smaller people. That's just what's necessary. 2 is your activity levels. Are you sedentary? Are you doing cardio only? Are you doing strength training only? Or are you doing strength plus cardio? The more strength training that you do, the more protein you need. And 3 is your age. Are you under 60 or over 60? People over 60 require more protein than people under 60. For the sake of this video, let's hypothetically say that you are over 60 and you are doing strength training. You will need 2.0 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram per day. Once you've consumed your protein, the rest can be made up of whatever you want. So let's say you've eaten 600 calories per day from protein, the remaining 1,400 could be pizza, chocolate cake, rice, pasta, whatever you want. Sure, it could also be a salad, but whatever you want, as long as you've met your minimum quota for protein and you're still within your caloric limit. Now, if you're wondering, what are the best sources of protein? I categorize protein foods into 3 different categories. Category 1 is what I call grade A protein. That's foods with more than 30 grams of protein per serving. Grade B protein is anything between 10 and 29 grams per serving, and grade C protein is below 10 grams. So what fits into grade A protein? Largely it's meat, fish, seafood. So things like chicken, tuna, turkey, halibut, trout, cod, tilapia, shrimps are all great sources of grade A protein. Also whey protein as well as egg whites all come into category A, grade A protein. Grade B protein is things like beans, lentils, Greek yogurt, Icelandic yogurt, and so on. Grade C protein is everything else. For example, cheese, 1 slice or 1 cube, has approximately 5 grams. Nuts, almonds, cashews, pistachios, etc. all have approximately 5 grams per serving. Things like a glass of milk has 9 grams. A medium egg has 6 grams. A large egg has 9 grams. So these are all examples of grade C protein. Vegetables, or if there was a grade D protein, would be grade D protein because there's not a single vegetable with even more than 5 grams of protein per serving. And so that's how you can figure out how much protein do you need and what foods do you specifically eat to get there. Now, if you're wondering, I don't want to count calories, I'm not a mathematician or an accountant or engineer, how can I reduce my calories without counting calories? There are a few different ways. We have about 40 different strategies for our clients, but I'll mention 3 of them in this video. One is planning. Just take 30 seconds to 1 minute at the beginning of each day and write down or put it into your phone, here's what I'm going to eat today. Breakfast, I'm going to have this, lunch this, dinner this. Simple as that. Why does this work? Because if you don't think about what you're going to eat until it's time to eat, you're going to make the tastiest decision. Rarely is the tastiest also the healthiest. But if you already made that decision earlier in the day, there is no decision to make because it's already been made for you earlier. So that's why planning works so well. Another reason planning works so well is the goal is just to plan, not necessarily to plan to be healthy. Even better if you're healthy, but just to plan. For example, if you know you're going to a birthday party and there's going to be cake there, put that into your plan. Because if you're eating cake now, that's part of the plan. Whereas if you're eating cake without planning for it, you're off the plan. So it gives you a sense of you're in control. Another great way to reduce calories without counting calories is the hunger fullness scale. That is, if you're about to sit down to eat, rate your hunger and fullness on a -10 to a +10 scale. If you're between -10 and -1, you're hungry. If you're between +1 and +10 is you're full. So if you're rating yourself in the pluses, don't eat yet. Keep waiting and rate yourself on an hourly basis until your ratings drop from the pluses to the minuses, and then it's time to eat. What you might find is that you're sitting down to eat not because you're hungry, but just because it's time to eat, or you're bored, or you're unfocused, or you're upset, or other people are eating. But just wait until you actually get hungry in order to eat. And a final strategy that I'll share is just to remove your trigger foods from your home. For example, my trigger food is chocolate. I'll eat chocolate when I'm not hungry. I eat chocolate for pleasure, not for hunger. I might be full and I'll still have room for more chocolate. So I just don't keep chocolate at home. What's your trigger food? A, put it in the comments below, and B, remove it from your home. The next component of losing belly fat is exercise. Of course, you're not trying to lose weight, you're trying to lose fat specifically. So you need to tell your body, hold on to muscle. The way you tell your body that is 1, adequate protein, which we covered earlier, and B, strength training, which is an even more potent signal. I've talked about strength training in my other videos, so check those out in the different playlists, but make sure that you're putting in adequate effort and you're using the right exercises into your strength training. If you need help putting together an appropriate strength training program for you, for your age, for your body type, for your injuries, for your medical conditions, and so on, we have a special program just for you. If you click on the link in the description below, that will take you to our homepage where you can fill out an application form for a very quick 10 to 15 minute Zoom chat. There is no pressure, no sales pitch, no obligation. It's just to see what's your current situation, what are your goals, and can we help you get there. The next component of exercise is cardio. Now, cardio does 2 things. If you can exercise long enough and hard enough, it can contribute to your caloric burn. But even if you can't, it's very good for your cardiovascular health. Finally, we get to a component called NEAT, N-E-A-T, which stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. What that means is these are very small movements throughout the day that are not purposeful exercise, and yet they still burn calories. For example, if you're going shopping, it's not a direct attempt to improve your endurance, and yet you're burning calories. If you're gardening, it's not a direct attempt to improve your endurance or strength, but you're burning calories. So NEAT is a very good way to ramp up the amount of calories you burn without really contributing to your fatigue. Some easy ways to do NEAT is, for example, if you're having a meeting, instead of talking over the phone, while you're talking on the phone, go for a walk or pace or walk in place. If you're watching TV, either watch it standing, cycle very gently, walk on the treadmill very gently, walk in place very gently. These are all very, very simple things that don't tax you, but they do burn a lot of calories, hundreds throughout the day across 16 or more waking hours. The final component I'll talk about is sleep. Directly, sleep doesn't contribute at all to fat loss, but its indirect effects are powerful. For instance, when you don't sleep well, you lack energy. You want to get more energy. How do you get more energy? Well, food contains calories, and calories are energy. So you're going to go for more food. And you're not exactly going for broccoli and chicken and spinach. You're going for coffee with cream, with syrup, with sugar. That's going to get your energy levels up. Exercise. How can you expend energy in exercise when you don't even have energy to spend? And so if you don't sleep well, A, you might just be tempted to skip your exercise. But B, even if you do exercise, you're going to put in less effort than if you're well rested. C, with NEAT, When you're well rested, you have energy to spare, so you just naturally fidget. You just want to move around more. But when you're not well rested, all these involuntary, unconscious movements start to decrease, and no longer do you burn all those hundreds of calories throughout the day. So the indirect effects of sleep are very, very powerful. If you like this information, I have a newsletter with lots more information just like this. Click on the other link in the description below, and that'll take you to a place where you can subscribe to our newsletter. You always have the option of unsubscribing. Of course, there are many different ways to help you implement all these components. You can watch more videos, you can download apps, you can go to group fitness classes, you can see a dietitian, and many others. What's the best way? I talk about that in this video on your screen right now and in the description below.